these extremists, of course, due to our experience, we are fighting against those extremists maybe since more than 5 years in Rojava. Of course, we think very deeply why they came to Rojava, why we are fighting against them. A man coming from maybe China, north of China, Ingush or Uyghur, how he does know that there are some unbelievers in Kobani and comes to Kobani to fight against the Kurdish people. So we try to connect them. And as a result, what we found, this ideology depends on two things. I mean, this Daesh or those groups, it depends on two things. One is ideologically, which is the background of them. The background is maybe it's available in many places, many societies, just like Saudi Arabia, like Tunisia or Libya or everywhere, and even in Europe. I mean, you find a lot of mosques because mainly it's related to the Islamic maybe ideology mainly. So even the mosques in Europe are background, preparing the people ideologically to be ready to be a member of this kind of organization. This is the first one, ideological side. And the second thing is the side who use them. And from the beginning, we found the religion could be ethical. I mean, everybody should respect it. I mean, any religion. But any religion should not be used as a tool for policy, for political thing. And if you find some people using the religion ideologically as a tool for some political purposes, so the result is Daesh and those extremists. So if we would like to prevent appearance of such organization in future, we should work in those both sides. One of them, ideologically, we should make the societies, I mean everywhere, the people to believe what they are and to teach them in the right way, and even education programs in the countries. And secondly, we should take precautions for everybody not to use any religion as a tool for policies. As I mentioned now, what we are finding in the Middle East is a third world war. And where? In Mesopotamia, which was feeding all the humanity maybe since thousands of years. And now we can find a big struggle, the Third World War going on in Mesopotamia with the Kurdish people. And maybe you can find the Kurdish people are leading this struggle against extremism, against jihadism. Why? Because the society, the background of the society, which is living in Rojava especially and all countries of the Middle East, is not convenient for such appearance of those kind of ideology. We used in Mesopotamia, in Rojava especially, to live the Kurds with the Arabs, with the Syriacs, so ethnically we have no differences between all the components. This is one. And from the belief-wise, also we don't have differences. We have Muslims, we have Yazidis, we have Christians, so we accept each other. So if the society over there refuses such a difference and refuses such ideology, and because of that, and what we have done in our society, I mean in Rojava, what we have done, only we organized our people, and they were able to defeat them. The Kobani victory came just because the people of Kobani, they were well organized. And not perfect, but it was, if compared with the other societies, they were organized. And we were organizing those people since 2003, when our PYD was established. So it means to defeat those kind of organization and to prevent coming again and appearing again everywhere, precautions should be taken ideologically, and then to prevent such any, maybe any parties or any side to use it as a political tools. There are some European countries that are playing this game. They were feeding some of them, maybe they have, they didn't create Daesh, but they are still supporting some organization in the Middle East which they have the same mentality. Jabhat-ul-Nusra, for example, and some of them, Ahrar al-Sham, some other groups, they have no difference, ideologically there are not difference between them and Daesh. And they are considering them, but just veiling the realities when they say they are Free Syrian Army. They're not Free Syrian Army. And we knew that from the beginning. And when we started, our revolution 2011, we were very careful about that, because our society didn't accept for those maybe gathering and becoming together in the mosques. Because we had Yazidis, we have Christians, they don't go to the mosques. And even somebody, if respect the mosque, the real Islam, they shouldn't use this Islam as a tool also. No religion except, to slaughter the people just like chickens in the 21st century. And humanity also doesn't accept it. So what we have done, we organized our people, and that the background of our society was also preventing such organization. And then, because of this organization, we were able to organize the defense system also, which was YPG, YPJ. And we found, our aim from the beginning was to create a free people, free member, free individuals. They should be free in their will, their mentality, their thinking, and even decision. For the decision, they should be free to make the decision. And the result, as you see, people are organized, building their system, and our system we are building in the Rojava. It could be leading all the Middle East and even all the, not only for Syria. We have built this self-administration, democratic self-administration, which is a radical democracy. We went to the villages, to the cities, to the towns, to the all the neighborhoods of the cities, and everybody is sharing in the decision. So that's all. This is radical democracy. And then the people are able to defend themselves, to do what they should do. So now, so this is the main lines. If we would like, what we have done, it's just the background of the society is not convenient for them, and when the people try to use our people as to organize them according to their wish, to make them in brutus, we prevented that by talking, and organizing them also for this defending purposes. We organize the people. Now in Rojava you can find all the society, approximately all the society is organized. How it's organized? We have many systems of defense. Maybe everybody has heard about YPJ and YPG. It's not only that. We have also self-defense units. We have society defense units, which they are guarding their homes. You can find maybe a mother, 50 years or 60 years, holding the weapon and just guarding their villages by the night. So disorderly to protect themselves, because there is a danger. So when you make such organization inside the society, even if they are weak, they can protect themselves. They should protect their homes. They should protect their villages. their neighborhoods, in the cities. And so this is the organizing the people. This is depending on the people, believing in the people's will. So there is no other way. I mean, depending on the soldiers, the armies. We have seen the Syrian army, what happened when they clashed with the ISIS. They couldn't stop. We also found the Iraqi army, what happened. I mean, they slaughtered in, what was the name? Spider, yeah. Spiker, yeah. In the Spiker, 1,700 people and 200 Daesh people guiding them and slaughtering one by one. And they are just like sheep. Nobody is making any voice. Nothing. I mean, they couldn't stop. They were Iraqi soldiers. Why? Because they didn't know what to do. They are not free what to do. They don't know what is happening. So this is, I mean, the Iraqi army couldn't stop against Daesh, and then the Syrian army, they couldn't stop Daesh, and the society, when it was organized, they could stop it. So if we trust our society, we trust our people, and we organize them, and we give them the opportunity to be politicized, just like, as I mentioned, I mean the radical democracy, the grassroots democracy, to let anybody share for the decision. At that time, you have no problem. The society can protect themselves. And this is what we have done in Rojava. And this is our practices. And now, of course, there are international, societies and maybe even the States and Europe and United States and the others. And now, maybe you can hear sometimes in Paris or saying, well, there is a bomber in Paris, and Paris is more than 5 million people. Everybody is afraid. Why? It means they don't trust their police, they don't trust their protection units, they don't trust their army. For what? I mean, one person what can do? Or even if it's organized, I mean, let's say it's a organization, I mean 5 people or 10 people, a cell of those terrorists, what they can do? Nothing. But when the societies, they trust themselves and they are organized, they can do everything, and even there is no need, I mean, for Paris all to be, afraid of 1 or 2 persons. And even in Berlin, in Germany, you have find, what happened. So, what I mean, if there is grassroots democracy and the people organizing themselves in the Middle East and the others, and even in Europe, and they are aware what's going on, they can defend themselves, they can stop it, and they can do it. And I think maybe recently, European people and organizations, they started to make some prevention, just like those places to educate them ideologically and grow them and send them to the Middle East. And we offered them from the beginning, and we said, well, we know each other, we are ready to be helpful for that. But till now, it's just because of some pressures by the other sides, which they are terrorizing the Kurdish people everywhere, especially in Rojava. By the pressure of them, they are still hesitating to deal with us as a Rojava, as a party, as pro-democracy forces. And we said many times, now even we told the Americans also, the others in the Middle East, well, our people, YPG and YPG, and those people are fighting against Daesh. They are not mercenaries. They have their political aims, and even they are going to fight just to protect their society, and they are sacrificing over there just for some political aims. So they are not mercenaries. Until now, a lot of European countries and even United States and so, they don't want to make any even small step for the recognition or to deal politically with our society, and the people are politically representing YPG and YPG and the Kurdish society in Rojava. while you are there, you are in the war, and you have your allies fighting together, protecting each other, and still you don't want to deal with them politically. So this is a strange situation, I think. It's just because the pressure of some sides, of Turkish side or the others. And as I mentioned, I mean, maybe now you are also following the news because of this conflict between the Saudi Arabia and Qataris, and maybe in Turkish in future. They were supporting those Daesh or Jabhat al-Nusra or the others. They were supporting them. And now they have some contradictions between them just because their plans they have failed. And maybe tomorrow you can find maybe they are fighting each other also. It's just because their plans they have failed, they couldn't do it. And the reason because the tool they are using has failed to do what they are trying to do. I mean, Daesh, Jabhat al-Nusra and others, and all the world especially, I mean, in Europe or in United States, they try to recognize the reality, what it is. And they are not ready to help to build a new Ottoman Empire in the Middle East. I think because it's a mistake, and he's dreaming. I mean, maybe in Germany you are familiar with Hitler, what he was doing in Germany just before to become an empire for Germany and destroy all the world. Erdogan is doing the same. He became dictatorship. He just gained all the powers in his hand, and maybe it's really, I mean, all the Middle East should be afraid of him. He will destroy all the Middle East if they leave them to continue what he is doing now. So this is the danger we are facing, we are doing, and this is the way how to prevent it, to organize the people, to find the ideologically, I mean, to have, to make some preventions, and to keep those countries or the sides using those extremists as, especially, I mean, religious extremists as a tool for the political aims. This is the only way could prevent such situation which happening in the Middle East, we believe. So this is shortly what can I say. But of course, I mean, there are a lot of things I would like to announce even here. Now everybody respecting those, let's say, organization, YPG, YPJ, PYD, which they were struggling against those extremists, I mean, from the beginning, since 6 years. And even we were in struggle against the Syrian regime dictatorship, the Ba'athist regime, since 2004. And you just came, I mean, in Germany, there are some decisions to block the flags and the symbols of the Kurdish people, YPG, YPJ. Well, I think who used such a decision here, or such a ban of those symbols, they don't respect the wish of the German people, because everybody, they feel YPG and YPG and even PYD, they are part of them. They are defending their, because really we were protecting ourselves. We were defending ourselves in the Middle East, but we found by protecting ourselves, by protecting our democracy, we are just defending all the humanitarian values: democracy, brotherhood, women's rights, the equality between the women and the men, and even the secularism for the religious people, for the believers. So all these are the values of the West, of the Europe, of the community which we are looking for. And now you're coming, I mean, in Germany, putting the ban on the symbols which the forces, they were defending all these values. Well, I think they should respect the will of the German people not to do it. So this is our hope also. And still, maybe there are some courts going on. So we hope to stop this way. And let's see, I mean, really, if they if they are very sincere and they are genuine to defeat those extremists, they should coordinate very well with our society, which I explained. I mean, because we don't have a background, which is Kurdish society. It's not only in Rojava, but also the 40 million Kurds are the same. They cannot be ideologically, they cannot be extremists. They are not ready, or at least they are not the background of such organizations, and they are ready to defend all the humanitarian values. So I think the cooperation and the coordination between Europe and European pro-democracy, pro-humanitarian values in Europe and the Kurdish society in Kurdistan, not only the Kurdish people, but also the components, also the Syriacs, the Yazidis, even Turkmens are living in this area in Mesopotamia. They should have very good relations for the benefit of the area and for the European country and the European people and even all the West. That's what I can say now, and thank you for listening to me. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for a wonderful speech. And we now have time for some questions from the audience. Unfortunately, Mr. Hunko had another engagement, so he will not be able to join for this round of questions, but please feel free to address your questions to either of our other two speakers. We'll start here.
Yeah, I have a question for Mr. Muslim. The question is the northern, southeast of northern Syria doing anything about the evidence of Turkish intervention and help for ISIS? Because in the last month we found out that, especially in Qatar, we found a lot of weapons and a lot of passports from Turkish side and from Turkish fighters which help the ISIS. And my question is the alliance against ISIS or America or the northern Syria doing anything against that?
Well, regarding your question, of course, I mean, we have a lot of evidences which about the relation between Daesh and the Turkish government and AKP and Erdogan's party. We have a lot of evidences, and we have files of that. And of course, I mean, by liberating Tafka and Raqqa, we will find more evidences on that. All the evidences we can find, I mean, those passports and maybe the Turkish IDs and the other things and the weapons supplied by Turkey. We can find everything. I mean, we are sharing this information with the partners, our partners in the International Alliance Against Daesh, but also we have some files prepared specially, I mean, for our friends to give them about the evidences between the Turkish government and Daesh. Well, what they are doing, I think it will take time because they are just started to know what it is. We were saying since 5 years what's happening, what's going on, but they didn't believe us. But now they are finding everything themselves, I mean. And when they are trying to make any steps against Daesh, Turkey is bothered and making voice and trying to prevent them. And recently, for NATO, Turkey was enforced to accept NATO to join the International Alliance Against Daesh by force. But if they have any choice, they wouldn't accept it, because Daesh is used by Turkish government to destroy the Kurdish people, to destroy the Kurdish communities, not only in Rojava, but also everywhere. So for the evidences, we have a lot of evidences we are sharing with the International Alliance, with our partners in the fighting against Daesh, but some of them are still military, maybe affairs. It's not maybe coming to the public. But there are some publicly also could be announced. I mean, we have some files in our people, in our part. If you contact our office here in Berlin, maybe they can be helpful for that. Thank you. Well, I said if we are talking about the society, I'm talking about the politicized society. It means they are able to decide which is right, which is wrong. And we as a party, PYD, we are working inside the society since 2003 when we established. We are not far away from our people. We are making meetings among the people, and this is what the reason for the Syrian regime before the revolution to do whatever. I mean, capture us, to torture us, to put in these basements of the intelligence services. So we were a very strong struggle because they just didn't want to connect with the people. So those people organized, they are mostly politicized people. They know the policy and they are following, and they can make some decisions, at least I mean for their region, to see what's right, to see what's wrong. And even when we give the weapon for them and organize them, they have programs of education. I mean, to make them aware, because everybody of those believe on the society, what's the importance of the society, and they believe to accept each other with a democratic nation to live within, I mean to accept each other as components. And when they hold the weapon, they believe they can protect their villages. And such people, if they do it, so you can trust them. It's a guarantee they are not going to fight each other, and they are holding a weapon to defend themselves, not to sell it to somebody. You see? So they are fighting. I mean, actually, they're protected. I mean, practically, we found many, many examples. The Daesh tried to infiltrate in some region, and they protected their areas, and they couldn't do it. And many of those people, they felt martyrs because of defending their villages. So you have to trust your people, after, of course, politicizing them, teaching them, telling them, training them, and then you can trust them. Otherwise, you're just not taking somebody from anywhere and giving him a weapon, just like the states do. I mean, just giving the weapon to somebody, and the next day he sells his weapon to the groups or to I mean, those terrorists. No. So you have to educate your society, and this is what we are doing. Thank you.
haben ja auch der eine Stefan, der eine Kreis ist Daesh, der zweite Kreis das Problem mit den Kurden und der man konzentriert sich auf drei Kreise. Der erste Kreis ist Daesh, der zweite Kreis ist das Problem mit den Kurden, der dritte Kreis ist die Geschichte mit dem Westen in der Allianz. Ich bin der Meinung, dass der Daesh einfach nicht vom Himmel gefallen ist. Der Daesh ist das Ergebnis eines Spannungsfelds, in der diese ganzen Gesellschaften im Nahen Osten oder in ganz Asien leben. Das wird sehr wenig erwähnt. Der zweite Punkt in der Genese von Daesh oder überhaupt von Terrorismus werden diese Regime ausgeklammert. Welche Regime herrschen in diesen Ländern? Wir, die irakischen Kurden, wissen, was wir mit dem Saddam Hussein zu tun hatten. Die Landsleute in Syrien wissen, was sie mit Bashar al-Assad, mit Hafiz al-Assad, mit diesem Regime zu schaffen hatten. Das sind die Regime. Iran ist dasselbe. Iran, das letzte vor einer Woche hat Wahlen stattgefunden. Man sagte, es gibt eine Öffnung nach dem Westen, es wird ein Reformer an die Macht kommen. Das ist doch alles nur Schau im Grunde genommen. Der Mann ist der Chef der nationalen Sicherheit. Der Mann hat 4 Jahre regiert. Kommt die Frage. Die Frage ist, warum werden diese Dinge ausgeklammert? Die Rolle dieser Regime. Diese Regime sind dazu geschaffen, von wem? Den Menschen kaputt zu machen, die Gesellschaften zu zerschlagen, dass der Mensch nichts mehr zu sagen hat. Warum werden diese Dinge eigentlich ausgeklammert? Das spielt doch die Hauptrolle, warum wir heute Daesh haben. Gestern hatten wir Qaida, heute haben wir Daesh und ich bin sicher, wenn Daesh vorbei ist, dann haben wir was Neues. Also der Boden, dieser Biotop, dass Terrorismus wächst und aufwächst und größer wird, besteht doch. Es wird ja auch bestehen. Es geht nicht darum, dass man jetzt Daesh besiegt. Was ist dann nach dem Daesh? Warum klammert man die gesellschaftliche Zusammensetzung? Warum klammert man die ideologische Zerstörung in diesen Gesellschaften? Vor allem, warum klammert man diese verbrecherischen Regime, angefangen von Teheran, Bagdad, Damaskus und so weiter? Die spielen doch eine wichtige Rolle, dass diese Gesellschaften den Punkt erreicht haben, wo wir heute sind. Auf Kurdisch? Okay, could you allow me to translate it in Kurdish shortly?
But the short version.
Yes, I will do. Libro Bayani está hoy cruzando Chesham. Aqui está escrito cena, essa cena. Tem a Daesh, não tem Guam, oder Ba, não tem Seyedish, tem muito Salamei Kurd. يعني مش كلي كرد بس يعني كرد. الآن أو جويكا أو مجتمع على الليبش. بس أوزون كمكة. وم لبتسي أو رجيم عليك لو أنا حكمك إيران في سوريا في إيران أو ككردي لها. بس أو رجيم على ناكي زود بكمية تجي أوان بلا كمية دولة زوز ورنبو هنا نيا إيران يشتيون ده أوسع. لبلو دايم لابدين يجعش داعش لهيت شيء همو هر عايشة لهيت شيء ناقو رأيت سنجي سببكي هرماو أمينة
Balash, you want to answer in English or
Okay, I will type in English.
no, let me let me translate it instead of you translated it into English. Well, shortly, yes, we can talk about three things. All regimes, there are despotic regimes, dictatorships, just what happened in Baghdad, in Damascus, in Ankara, wherever it is. And this is one. And the second, the terrorism, which is Daesh and the other affiliated, or let's say the similar organization, and the West, so, and the Kurdish issue. So this is the three things. Everybody talking about the Daesh and how to defeat it, but nobody is talking about the regimes. And those regimes who were causing the appeal of this organization. Nobody is saying about the regime what to do. So this is the question. Is it right?
Exactly.
So the answer, do you prefer it in English or in... I don't speak German anyway. Yeah. Well, as I mentioned, I mean, when I mentioned, I mean, some sides, some states, or let's say parties, using a religion as a tool for political aims, I mentioned those, especially those regimes. When Turkey is supporting Daesh because they aim to destroy the Kurdish community, the Kurdish people everywhere. When Iran is supporting some of them, they are trying to get their aims by this destroying things. And all we know, I mean, in the Middle East, they are trying to get fed up of the old regime to make a new design for the future Middle East. And they were talking about the new Middle East. They are talking about maybe some of them, they are since the beginning of the 1990s, the West, by invading Iraq, I mean, the first time it was in 1991, Schwarzkopf was talking about the new Middle East. Is it right? So it means the plans for the Middle East to be designed, they were thinking of how to change it since 1995 at least. And everybody was preparing. And they were using, even thinking of the tools to be used for destroying the Middle East to build a new one. So this is the truth. Those regimes, they just should be changed. And the society should be changed, the mentality should be changed, everything to be changed. At that time we can talk about the stable, I mean, Middle East, we can talk about the democracy, we can talk about the peace. Otherwise, if those dictatorships in Damascus, in Iraq, or in Ankara, just what happened in Ankara is very interesting. What's happening over there is a threat for all the Middle East and for threat for all the world. And they are producing such organization because they are using those groups as a tool for political aims, for political change. So they are connected to each other. They can produce each other. So this is the way, I think. For the Kurdish issue, of course, I mean the Kurdish issue because it was a cause not to make any democracy. Turkey was dealing with Europe, I mean since 1990s and even before that, to join the European Union, and they didn't do it. Why? Because the measurement of Europe will make some some democratic rights for the Kurdish people in Turkey. Because of that, they are refusing to join it. They are refusing to accept the democracy for the Kurdish people. Instead of changing the measurements of Turkey to be convenient with the European measurements, they are trying to pull Europe to the Turkish measurements now. Is it right? So I think solving the Kurdish issue in the Middle East, it will bring the sustainable Middle East also, and the democracy. And the Kurdish people now, they are leading the democratic approach in the Middle East. So this is very interesting, really. Thank you.
We have time for one more question in the back. Please yell.
Yes, well, my speech from the beginning was mentioning 2 points. The education, it means ideologically you have to teach the people, to train them of what's the humanity, what the democracy, to change instead of saying to them, I mean, you can invade and you can slaughter the people and so on. So I mean the education, you have to educate the people, the actual thing, the actual values, even in the schools. I was in Saudi Arabia for 12 years working as an engineer since 1980s. I saw their education, and it's horrible really, because the mentality, you are teaching the child, he just should go and fight and hold a sword and kill everybody, not Muslims. So this is the mentality they were teaching, and the result, you can see it. It's not only Saudi Arabia, it was all the Gulf countries. And even when I talked about some mosques here in Europe, I mean, producing such a mentality, they were teaching the same, what been taught in the Saudi Arabia and the Gulf countries. So we have to be careful. And your friend, what she said, it's exactly, it means the mentality of the people should be changed according to the humanitarian values, to respect each other, to accept each other, to accept the democracy. This is the education system. And the second one, of course, I mean, I've talked, we were talking about the grassroots democracy. Grassroots democracy, it means the people themselves, they should manage themselves. They should govern themselves instead of this is the local democracy. We are after it. I mean, each city, each province, each village, they should be able to decide instead of themselves, not decisions taken by in Damascus for the village in Kobani. And the people wouldn't accept because they don't know the reality. The people in Kobani, in the villages, they don't know exactly what they need, and they should be able to do it. And this is the grassroots democracy we are talking about. Yes, I mean, your friend, what she said is exactly what we are looking for it. Thank you.
Thank you very much for all of your questions. Unfortunately, we are out of time for this panel. Before we close, I'd like to say a few words. First, an announcement from the Institute for Cultural Diplomacy. Unfortunately, today's event at the Bundestag for this afternoon is canceled because of security concerns, but there will be an event held here at 5 o'clock about human rights. Before we close, on behalf of the Rojava-North Syria Representation Office in Benelux, I would like to thank all three of our incredible speakers. It's been incredibly inspiring and enlightening to hear what all of you have to say on such an important and relevant topic. And I hope that we can all continue the conversations that have been started here as we continue to move forward towards peace and freedom for everyone in the Middle East and the world. Second, I would like to thank Mr. Mark Donfried and President Constantinescu and the Institute for Cultural Diplomacy for being such wonderful hosts and welcoming this discussion. It's unbelievably important that organizations like this and all over the world continue to step up and do their part in facilitating these conversations and in fostering progress towards positive peace. Third, I would like to thank the Commission of Political Parties of Kurdistan for all of the hard work that they do in uniting the Kurdish political community and providing a platform where seminars such as this one can take place in an open-minded and receptive environment. Each and every event like this reminds us that peaceful and unified approaches to resolving conflict are fully achievable if we are able to move beyond our differences and find common ground. Fourth, I would like to thank all of our friends and colleagues in The Hague, Berlin, and Brussels who worked so hard to organize this seminar. Through coordinated and united efforts, there's really very little we cannot do. Finally, I would like to thank all of you for joining us here today. It's very encouraging to see that so many from so many different backgrounds are interested and willing to come together to examine such significant issues in today's world. Your presence is greatly appreciated, and I hope you'll continue to consider and discuss everything that has been addressed today as you move forward. Again, thank you to everyone involved today as we continue to work towards sustainable peace for Kurdistan and the Greater Middle East. Let us all carry on in examining and discussing every possibility for positive progress. Open and constructive dialogue must remain at the center of all of our solutions. Thank you.